if your kid is throwing the biggest temper tantrum in the world and aliens show up in the middle of it, and they don't want to ask how you're going to solve it, but they just want to know what is the definitive creepy kid movie for us to watch. What's your answer? Well, we have thoughts coming up next. This is Definitive Cinema on the OnStage Blog YouTube channel, where we're here to give you the definitive movie featuring a creepy kid, usually a horror movie. I am Greg Earhart. Joining me, Chris Peterson, founder of OnStage Blog, and Ken Jones, on-screen blog chief film critic. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Hello, hello.
Good. It's all for you, Greg. It's all for you.
So there have been a lot of movies, horror movies, featuring a creepy kid, whether they're possessed or something's wrong with them. We don't know what's wrong with them. Let's start here. So, Chris, what is, in all the movies that we've had, there's lots of temperamental problems. The kid, a lot of really antisocial behavior that exhibits. What's the one thing a creepy kid does that's like just the absolute creepiest in the movie that really skeeves you out while watching it? Like, is there a single thing you can identify, or just a general class of behaviors that's just the worst for you, that makes you feel the most uncomfortable?
Trance-like states. Like if the movie happens and the kid is like in some sort of trance or staring at something off in the distance that we can't see, things like that, I lose my freaking mind.
Or if they're staring right at you.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Or over my shoulder, like staring at the thing behind me or something like that. Like that's yeah.
Yeah. Ken, how about you?
Kind of similar, I guess. I would say for me, I think it's the like telepathy. Like if they have the power to control things or to control you.
Yeah.
There's something like creepy about that.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just when the kid kills an animal, especially a pet, whether especially advertently, on purpose, or inadvertently, like the animal dies around them or something like that. That's just the worst, because animals, especially pets, they're defenseless. They can't help themselves.
That means the gloves are off, and anything can happen in that movie.
Anything can happen, and you hate that kid. You want that kid to go down. Let me also ask you, before we get to our picks, like let's ask for what's creepier, and you can answer neither if you want. Creepy boy or creepy girl? And you could say this from the movie's perspective, like just from watching a movie. Like what's creepier, if there is one that's creepier? Creepy boy or creepy girl? Ken?
I don't think there's really a difference for me. It's the kid aspect. It's just the fact that they're a kid. Whether it's a boy or a girl doesn't really. They're both equally. I'm equal. I believe in equality.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris.
I'm kind of the same.
There's a right answer to this, by the way.
Oh,
okay.
Enlighten us, Greg.
For me, it's the age. It's like, give me like creepy kid 5 through 9 years old. That's good. Once they become a teenager, teenagers suck as it is, so I don't care about creepy teenagers. But yeah, like that 5 through 9, probably because
pre-puberty boy.
Yeah, probably because my son is age 9 right now, so that's probably why
come back to him in 5 years.
Yeah, and he does the whole staring thing over my shoulder constantly. So yeah.
So I was a bit kidding about the correct answer. I do think for me, creepy boys are creepier, mostly because I think we have a lot of examples in real life, famous examples, but also just boys we know are way more capable of like really antisocial actions and behavior than I think girls are. So I think it hits kind of close to home, because you could say, oh yeah, that thing he's doing, I've seen a kid around the neighborhood or something like that, or I could totally believe he'd do something like that.
But on the flip side,
thinking, right?
On the flip side, though, if it's a girl, maybe it's even more unsettling because it's so out of character.
Right. You could go that way too. Yeah, for me, it's just like, oh gosh, this really could happen. Because you see, obviously various shades of that,
Yeah.
in real life, um, including Chris, your son, who just give you trances and hovers around your shoulder all the
Like
time.
I'm waiting for him to pop into this room right now and just stare at me with a blank stare in his face for 5 seconds before
I I should I tell a story or not? I won't say names. I know a boy, I think he's around 5 years old, who one time came into his parents' bedroom in the middle of the night holding a skull in his hand. It just had walked
Oh my
upstairs and opened up. He's fine now. He's much older. He's a teenager. He's fine. He's well-adjusted boy. But this is what I'm talking about in terms of like these are things boys do. A lot.
immediate adoption papers being put up after my son did that. Like immediate, like we're gonna find you a different home to live in.
You're gonna leave him at the Grand Canyon like Joe Dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to our definitive pick. So once again, we're making our picks for not the best creepy kid movie, not the worst creepy kid movie, but the definitive creepy kid movie, the one movie you'd show to either aliens or someone who has never seen a movie featuring a creepy kid, a horror movie featuring a creepy kid. If you had to pick just one movie to show them that best represents the genre, what movie would you pick? So we're going to give our answers. And to prove that we're not cheating, that we haven't talked about this before, we're going to give our answers at the same time. We have not shared our picks ahead of time. We're on the count of three, we're going to all announce our picks. Could be the name of the movie. And then we're going to discuss it. So you guys ready?
Yes.
All right. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. The
Exorcist.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of variety there. Okay.
All right.
Greg, you were the outlier. So
yeah, I'll go. So I considered The Exorcist. I probably went my second choice. I went with The Omen because I think The Omen's brilliant. It's in the running for. I'll reveal my best pick a little bit later. But The Omen is kind of brilliant in a way that it's like a slow train wreck happening. Like you kind of know where it's going, and it becomes pretty clear that there's almost nothing that can stop what's happening once they kind of reveal, and it's really strongly hinted at, and it's like, oh yeah, Damien's the Antichrist, kind of thing, and just things keep escalating and escalating. And as far as the creepy kid genre, I mean, it's just events galore happening. That's just like, and Damien, the actor, I forget the kid actor's name, really good, getting the trance-like state, just really embodying the Antichrist as much as a kid that age can do. And he wasn't stopped. The prophecy was fulfilled. Basically, it's really a very unsettling movie. A movie I kind of have trouble rewatching as I get older. I really think it best exemplifies that kind of genre because unlike The Exorcist, it really is. It's almost the full length of the movie where you're getting just a creepy kid performance throughout. I think The Exorcist, the peak is better, but I'll let you kind of get into why. But that's why The Omen is my pick. So go ahead, Chris. Exorcist. Why is it definitive?
Oh man, well first of all, Damien is certainly on the Mount Rushmore of creepy kids, so I want to show respect there. But for me, if you look at creepy kid movies before The Exorcist and after The Exorcist, you can say that that was a generational shift, was that movie. And not only, I mean, even I think it even goes beyond creepy kids, just child performance, honestly. Like she set a new standard for acting expectations from children. What I love about that movie, Greg, to your point, is I think the peak, there's no better peak from a creepy kid movie than the last 25, 30 minutes of that movie are absolutely breathtaking. But what I really like is the beginning because you see the build, you see the deterioration, you see the
That's
process.
exactly what I was going to say.
From the medical procedures to that, I love that scene where she's with a psychologist and she grabs his crotch and then she growls and does this thing. And by the way, if you haven't seen the director's cut of that movie, watch his director's cut. They put some things in there, like the backwards crawling down the stairs, just unbelievably scary. Moments in that movie. But yeah, Linda Blair, I would say up until another movie I'm going to talk about a little bit later, single-handedly was not only the creepiest kid, but maybe the best child performance we've seen in film, period. So there you go. Ken.
Yeah, I Chris, you said it very well. For like Greg, you said for The Omen, like you love that Damien is like that from like the very beginning. I appreciate with The Exorcist, like Chris said, the build up to it. You see her as a normal kid and the progression from that to being this like full on possessed kid. And yeah, that I rewatched it again just like this past weekend in preparation for this. And Chris, there's no way I could watch that 4 times a year. I felt like I needed to put on like a happy comedy afterwards because it just like it's one of those movies that feels like as malevolent as the subject matter itself. Like it feels a little evil. Like it's not like an okay movie. That's the best I can describe it. But like, yeah, like Linda Blair's performance, like all throughout is just incredible. Like you're seeing her do stuff like, and not just like the full on possession stuff, but like, and like the, you know, the spitting of like the pea green soup or whatever, like projectile vomiting. But like when spoiler alert, Father Marin dies and the other priest comes back in and she's just sitting on the bed, kind of like looking, like what just happened, and also like giggling to herself. It is so creepy.
Plus the scenes where she's just talking, like, you know, she's having that one-on-one conversation with the younger priest, Jason Miller, and he's like, you know, and she pulls the desk drawer out and he's like, do that again. And if you just watch this character, whether it's levitating, turning her head, or just having a conversation in Latin, it is the creepiest, most unsettling thing.
The other thing I'll add is I'm putting as my best movie, the best creepy kid movie. We'll get into the best category, obviously well ahead of its time. I'm gonna be a little bit contrarian. I don't think the non-exorcism scenes have aged that great. Like anything not involved, like the dialogue is pretty.
There's a little bit of it's a little choppy, but the overall.
I fast forward through it. I'll be honest. I fast forward through parts of that movie. That's not involving Linda Blair.
The overall just feeling of the movie for me is just overwhelming.
Interesting that we all went with religious horror though. That's something that maybe.
Well, a lot of these do. Yeah, I mean, because it involves some type of exorcism. You know, how else are you going to heal the kid? You know, or fix the kid. Yeah. So Exorcist is my best. Chris, your best. Your best.
So I mentioned how I thought that Linda Blair's performance was the best child performance we've seen up until a certain movie. So I am actually going to go with the best creepy kid. The character's name escapes me, but it's Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense. That is a breathtaking performance. It's a creepy kid who's trying not to be creepy, which I actually think is like really, it's like it's an affliction, it's a curse. Like, oh my God, I see dead people. It's the worst thing you can imagine. And there are scenes in there that Osment is so beyond his years as an actor. Especially that scene where he's talking about I see dead people. You watch that entire sequence, it's breathtaking. That to me is probably the best overall creepy kid performance. Also, not for nothing, but when you're nominated for an Oscar for a creepy kid performance, like that's another feather in your cap, so to speak, on that end. Ken, how about you?
Best?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with best that's not The Exorcist, just to change it up a little bit, and go with this movie called Good Night Mommy, which is a German film from the 2010s. This mom gets plastic surgery and comes home with her face all wrapped in bandages, and she has 2 twin kids. and her boys begin to suspect that she's not actually their mother anymore, and it's just a very slow build to like things progressing to get worse and worse, and it's really, it brings up like it plays on the how children perceive the world versus how the world actually is, and how things can go awry based on just the perception that they have of not understanding how like certain adult things work like that. It's really interesting horror thriller. Yeah. So good night, mommy.
All right, give me your worst, Ken.
Worst. I'm gonna go with The Ring 2, which I love the first Ring, whether you're talking about the Japanese original or the American remake. And I mentioned both because the director of The Ring 2 is actually the director of the Japanese original movie. But even he can't make this one work. It's just, just a real train wreck of a horror sequel that does not come close to living up to the original first movie. And I haven't seen it since it came out in the mid 2000s, and I have absolutely no interest in ever revisiting that.
Yeah. Chris, worst?
Oh, there's so many candidates. The first one I thought of with Drew Barrymore in Firestarter. It's a terrible performance by a good child actress. Terrible character, terrible performance.
Yeah.
I thought about Anthony from the Twilight Zone movie. That sequence, terrible. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Mama. There's a little girl in that movie, terrible. But I'm gonna go with a controversial choice. Here it is.
Oh boy.
I can't remember the character's name for the life of me, but it's the movie Brightburn.
Oh.
It's like the anti-Superman, like your kid was a terrible person. What I just saw this movie a couple months ago, and it was one of those movies where it's like, when it's a terrible child performance that's surrounded by an amazing premise, an amazing cast, and amazing filmmaking. So it's like, but it's like very clear that everything around this kid is incredible, and the kid's just like a mopey, stupid kid. He's just angry the entire movie. And like the Elizabeth Banks and the other guy who play his parents and all these other people are just trying their damnedest to like make this a good movie. And again, the premise and script is really good, and the visuals are really good. But again, the kid, especially when he's not wearing the outfit, he's just like a mopey, angry kid, and that's just very one-dimensional to me. Hated it.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I went with this might be controversial, I don't know, given its cult status, but Children of the Corn as my worst.
Isaac.
Yeah, boring. I think I'm convinced this was dated even at the time of the release, just based on when it came out. Not well acted at all, in my opinion. If you're just going on still images of the creepy kids, it's fine. Once they do stuff, I don't know. This movie just doesn't. I love cult classics. This one doesn't do it for me.
I'm with you. I think it's a little overrated.
Yeah, agree. All right, well, that wraps up this episode of Definitive Cinema. So if you like this content, you can do a couple things. One is hit subscribe, please, so we can get all future episodes. Two is check out onstageblog.com/onscreenblog for all of our movie content that we do. Ken does reviews of all the new releases coming out. I do various editorials on topics related to movies and TV. And Chris will write a column here or there. And you can also check out, we write content on theater as well. And on onstageblog.com. You can follow us on Twitter and on Facebook at OnScreenBlog, or for movies and TV, or at OnStageBlog for theater. All right. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for future episodes. Catch you next time.